The Big E, and last I left off, I got the nacelles all sanded down and primered. I got the nacelles attached to the secondary hull, and I got the secondary hull assembled. And what I had to do next was I had a little bit of a gap from I think last time I told you all that the shuttle bay here, when I put the light in, it kind of made a little bit of a gap, so that's an easy fix. All I did was first, and if you ever have to use putty or fill in a big gap, I'd fill it with something other than red putty, so you don't have cracking in the putty and all that stuff, or shrinking. I use a 2-part Bondo, which is very thick. I don't actually use it as a top coat, basically just as a filler. Fill it all in, get all the excess space filled in, and then sand that down, and then put in some spot putty on top, and I'm ready to sand that and get that smooth. So I'm going to let that sit for a day, and I'll be ready to wet sand it and ready to go. But anyway, we are moving quite along on the Big E. This is I call it the boring stage, putty and sand. You can see some of the blue here. So what I got to do is, after I get it, before I sand it, I got to shove some paper towels in here so the shuttle bay don't get dirty or any sanding debris. And then hopefully once I get that sanded, get it basically painted, and I can get the back end on and the shuttle bay and all that good stuff. But anyway, I don't have to paint the entire hole. I just got to paint basically this part here. So after I get it sanded, and what I'll do is I'll take some Mr. Tape and just tape it along here, and just get a nice little bead, and that'll hide the mask off the windows, and I should be ready to go. So anyway, that is where I stand on that. So we're kind of at a little bit of a boring stage on the Big E, but anyway, we're hopefully get that sanded later this week. The Convair, I've got most of it assembled. I'm down to about 2 tanks, and I've just been sanding here and there. I took some of the plastic putty, which I like it to a point, but I used it on the edge where I had a little bit of a gap where I didn't cut out the hole for the LED, and just had to kind of squeeze it on there. But anyway, got that filled in and sanded smooth, so we are good to go on that. I got the tanks sanded smooth, so hopefully I need to shoot another primer just to make sure I got it, because it's going to be a hairline. Because once you get the, I call it silver paint, it's going to show any type of flaw. I kept almost breaking the little fuel line here, so I had to take a little bit of a super glue with Mr. Toothpick, and I made like a little mounting bracket on the middle, so to give it a little bit of texture, but it made it more strong. So anyway, that is where I am on that. So hopefully we'll be able to rock and roll on the Convair very, very soon. And I would like to put it on a base, and when I say base, I'm talking more about, oh come on, I was talking about a base like this. Now this is a base that Steve Neal, when he did Steve Neal's Garage, and I like the simple base. It's just, I want to say, a piece of wood, and I'm not necessarily lighting it up, but I like the simplicity of it. Want something of that nature. He did a Klingon one, which I don't want to do it real thick like that. I'd like to do it a little bit thinner, an acrylic sheet or something, something about, yay thick or something. Just to make, I think it looks nicer, especially like when you do ship kits, when you put sailing ships on a wooden base, with the, something like that. It's what I'm kind of leaning toward. But I want to do something like that, and I want to make it something like standard. And I want to actually like put the model like on the corner where it's not necessarily in the middle, but pretty close, and then have a little base plaque that tells you what the vehicle is, or figure of that nature. I just think it looks slick. I think shiny black ones, I think, are just pretty darn slick. But anyway, that's kind of the base I'm leaning towards. It was something I'd like to do, but anyway, we'll try to figure that out when the time comes. So anyway. And then up next, and just like everyone else, I'm going to go ahead. I want to build the Franklin as well. But I ain't going to build the Franklin. I want to build anything other than the Franklin because everyone else is going to build the Franklin, and I want to build another ship, which I'm leaning toward the USS Mako, which I think might be pretty darn slick to do. Or I may change my name. I don't know. I haven't decided. We're going to dive into that pretty darn soon because I got a couple other projects coming, and that'll fill in the void once the Convair is done. So anyway, that's what I've got going on today. So we are doing some putty on the Big E, trying to get the Convair symbol, and hopefully we can start the Franklin very, very soon. So that's what we got going on today. So stay tuned for the next exciting episode.